now was brought to my attention via a donation from one of our subscribers. Now, if you want to recommend a song, the link to the PayPal is going to be in the description below because, of course, YouTube yanks 30% of super chats. Guys, I appreciate, as always, your open, curious attention. Back to the video. This is my favorite Pussifer song right here. For sure. Hands down, buddy. The Humbling River, or the Humble River. Let me see which one.
Nature, nurture, heaven and home. Some of all and by them driven to conquer every mountain shown, but I've never crossed the river.
What I'm doing out here in Arizona, there's this word sustainable that we throw around that I feel is applicable, not just in terms of a small local economy or a larger global economy, all those things. I think that also applies to just an artist in their creative flow. You see a lot of guys who are successful earlier on, and they start to not be successful, and they get a little desperate, desperate to be relevant in a world that no longer understands them.
Ooh. So he said he wants to maintain sustainability as an artist. And that requires creating environments which inspire, right? Think about this. So many artists, they die out, they become irrelevant because as they become successful, they surround themselves with things that don't inspire them. They get like fancy cars, the big mansion, the new girlfriend every couple of months, and they surround themselves with yes men, right? Whereas before they were hungry, they had a fire, they had, determination and drive. And so it's interesting that, Maynard may be using this area as a psychotechnology to kind of help keep him inspired. Psychotechnology is a word I borrow from Dr. John Vervaeke. Look him up.
To be relevant in a world that no longer understands them.
Angel, angel, what have I done? I face the quakes, the wind, the fire.
We have a lot of disconnect. We have plenty of food, plenty of clothing, plenty of shelter at this point. Now we're just kind of rats eating each other and eating ourselves. We've lost touch with that friction, that friction that keeps you moving, keeps you on your toes.
I think he's calling out the fact that evolutionary pressure is essentially zero or near zero, right? We have, we've created force fields against the elements. So we're not selected by that anymore. We can go to the grocery store and buy whatever we want. So we're not really selected by who the best hunter is anymore, right? So much has shifted that, we're kind of becoming restless and desperate for meaning.
Keeps you growing, keeps you learning, keeps you surviving. We've kind of lost touch with that in a way. So we've lost touch with that kind of creative side, I think, or utilitarian side.
I face the quakes, the wind, the fire.
This is an attempt to kind of rekindle some of that, to understand how vulnerable we actually are, how much we are not in charge, and keep that art alive, keep those stories alive. I have much more to say now in music, in words, with this.
I love that he says, I have a lot more to say in music. And this is, to me as a Christian mystic, this is a sign of nearness to God when there's a lot more to say, because God is always speaking. The heavens declare the glory of God and the skies proclaim the work of his hands. When you really are in touch with something, you never run out of potential lessons. I think the way John Vervaeke would put it is the cascade of insights is infinite, right?
endeavor.
Together we'll cross, together we'll cross the river.
Yeah, I do what I do because I enjoy it. I enjoy farming, I enjoy winemaking, I enjoy writing music, I enjoy performing songs, writing songs, just in general, doing.
See, but it's not just doing, is it, Maynard? It's a kind of mastery. And maybe that's what happens when you truly enjoy something, right? You get into the flow state. You know, we talk about the flow state on this channel where anxiety is what happens when the challenge far exceeds the competency, and then boredom is what happens when that's reversed and your competency far exceeds the challenge, then you're just bored. But the flow state is what happens when your competency just barely exceeds the challenge. And enough of that, right? That's what it means to be under the cascade of insights. You're always learning more in order to get to the next level, level 2, level 3, level 4. It's one of the reasons video games are so addicting. It's because you're in the flow state. You're constantly just a little bit, you're barely enough to make it to the next level. And then the skills in that level barely give you enough to make it to the next level. We're addicted to that feeling. It's like where you're actively growing, right?
And I'm always going to be doing. Whether I'm relevant or not, I think is irrelevant. Because I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless of whether somebody knows about it or not. That's just in my nature. So you can see I'm in the studio. I'm always writing. I'm working with Tool, Perfect Circle, Pussifer all the time. Just slowly, hedging our way through it all to present. If I was just doing those things, you start to run out of actual life experiences. All you're going to write about is the bus or a fucked up lawsuit, or you just kind of lose your way, become disconnected.
Family, there are insights that you can get from plant life. There are insights that you can get from animal life, even though the human being is an animal essentially. There's wisdom you can get from children, right? So your interaction with all of these things, or your lack of interaction with them, can really stifle your growth. We're meant to interact with the things that we're a part of. That's an amazing tool. No pun intended. Cook, sir.
You just kind of lose your way, become disconnected. This is the Reconnect. As a legacy, I feel like some of the music we've done will live on its own. But I feel like using Bowie as an example, Bowie passes away, people line up to freak out that he's gone, and they're reverent about what he's done. And it's, in a way, that's done. Like, he's done it, he can't do anymore, he's no longer here. So there's a reverence to him and a worship of sorts, a fan reaction to what he's done, and now he no longer is here. But that's kind of one direction. What we've done, or what we're setting up as a community here in northern Arizona, southern Arizona, with the winemaking and just the culinary efforts and the community efforts that go along with it, and all the collateral benefits of a winemaking and grape growing community. There might be some founders of that movement, but if we are no longer here, there are other people that continue what we've started.
Fam, it's such an important thing to realize, right? And I keep going back to Vervaeke, of course. He's my favorite cognitive scientist. Give me a break. But he talks about what meaning is. Like, you know that there's meaning in your life when you have dedicated your life to something which you hope will outlive you. Right? That's the idea. How much are you contributing toward the continued existence of the things that you love? Right? Because then you cease being a human being. To the degree that you participate in those things, you exchange your human being for a way of being. And a way of being can't be killed, can it? Even though your biology dies, this way of being will continue. It's the reason Jesus said, I am the way, right? Wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in their midst, right? Or whenever, people are doing the will of God or whatever, there I am. He says, I am a way of being, a process. And for those of you who are, scientifically minded, Carlo Rovelli said relations precede relata. Carlo Rovelli of loop quantum gravity theory is a brilliant, he believes in relative quantum mechanics. And when he says relations precede relata, the relata is the object. And he says everything which appears to just be an object is essentially a relationship, right? Everything which appears to be a stagnant, stable being is in reality a way of being, a process, right? And it seems that that's what Maynard is doing. He's saying, look, I'm exchanging the idea that I'm a simple human being for participation in a way of being, such that when I die, right, my physical body dies, people will hardly remember. I mean, it's like, of course, we'll always remember Maynard, of course. But that he's just giving himself to this process, right? And he's by doing this, he's participating in fate, which is the thing most people really fear. I mean, the Stoics said we don't really fear death. What we fear is fatality. We fear going with the flow, and not being able to, enact our will aggressively. So by, surrounding himself with these areas and having to kind of bend to the will of nature and kind of, participate in this process, in the learning process, which can be really, really, really heartbreaking sometimes and frustrating. Yeah. I think that he's embracing fate here in a really profound way.
So in a way, that's more of a legacy because you've actually established something that can continue 100, 200 years beyond you.
Yeah.
Which sets up that artistic process, winemaking, food growing, all the industries that surround that, all the activities that surround it, and of course the art of celebrating those struggles. Because we're, as a winemaker, you need grapes, so you're slave to the sun and the rain. You are slave to Mother Nature to understand her processes and what she wants, and she does not care what you want. So you're having to work around that. So that celebration around the fire at the end of a long hunt or a long agricultural endeavor, that art, that's what it tells the story of what struggles you've gone through. It's the celebration of life along with the struggle of actually trying to survive.
Family, one of the most heartbreaking things to me about modernity, even though there might be a lot more, one of the most sad things is that we are under the illusion that we don't need each other. Right, the fact that we don't hunt together and the fact that we don't go out on dangerous hunts together. We just go to the grocery store, ignore whoever's in there, just be in your personal bubble, right, on your phone or something like that. I don't need anyone for my food. I don't need anyone to pay my bills. It's all very solo. It's very private. And, this environment that Maynard is setting up is saying, okay, what wisdom can I glean from those societies that actually needed one another? Right. And what would life be like if we needed each other again? And to use your resources to build that, that's a real accomplishment.
If you really kind of look at it, your legacy, if executed properly in the nuances that I identify with it, it's not so much about you, it's about laying groundwork and honoring your past and honoring your family and going forward for your children and their children. You're setting up a foundation for them where they still have to struggle. Just laying it out for them and just handing them a big bank account that's not gonna help them. They have to struggle in some way. They have to earn this thing.
Maynard emptying out his bank account for his children would be akin to breaking open the shell for a bird. Right, the bird needs to break free out of that, out of the egg, in order to strengthen himself. It's a big part of the process of, testing your muscles. You should never assist someone to that degree because that just causes paralysis, right?
And this, I feel like vineyards and winery and the music is something that it requires some struggle. You have to find your way in it. You can't just be handed it. The Verde Valley in general, it's not for everybody. This area of Arizona, it's one of those things you have to resonate with this area to really dig in and be here. It'll spit you out like a a bad liver transplant.
Fam, I genuinely and deeply appreciate interacting with this. I'm definitely going to watch part 2. Let me know in the comments, if I talk too much, what it is that I missed, or the insights that you are getting from the Art of Work series. Thanks for joining me.